Welcome to a very special edition of How's Your Stool. Usually on this podcast, I sit down with one guest at a time to hear their story, but today we're breaking the rules. Steve's Music has closed its doors, and for countless musicians in Montreal, that's the end of an era. It wasn't just a music store, it was a rite of passage. It was where dreams were born, paychecks disappeared, friendships were made, and more than a few of us convinced ourselves that this next guitar was finally going to make us sound like heroes. For so many of us, Steve's was where we found our sound. So I thought, instead of one guest, why not gather a few old friends together and relive it all? Joining me today are Dwane Dixon, Jeff Smallwood, Martin Laporte, Tom Simpson, four outstanding musicians, each with their own stories, memories, and connections to this legendary Montreal institution. We're going to talk about the people behind the counter who became mentors and friends, the gear we couldn't afford but had to play anyway, the legendary wall of guitars, the moments that changed our musical lives, and why Steve's meant so much to generations of musicians. Whether you've spent every Saturday wandering those aisles, bought your very first instrument there, or simply remember it as the place where every musician eventually ended up, we hope this conversation brings back a few great memories. So grab a coffee, settle onto your favorite stool, and let's head back to Steve's Music Store one more time. Okay, well, we're here, folks, to memorialize the passing of Steve's Music. Us guys, we got Jeff Smallwood here, Dwane Dixon, Tom Simpson, and who knows who else is going to drop in a bit. It's funny, it's just a business, but it's just been so much part of my life that it's just really weird that it's not going to be there anymore. And so we're here to just share some stories and memories. I mentioned earlier my first time in Steve's was 1977. I went in and bought my first acoustic, met Sheldon, and walking into Steve's was a little, West Island kid, and first of all, being downtown, and that store was overwhelming. Do you guys remember when they expanded beyond the guitar shop, like when they started adding the subsequent stores?
Yeah, they had the original first door, which had all the strings, and then they had the second door. That's where Bill had his repair shop in the front, so you couldn't come in that second door. But that's where they had all the Strats and Tellys on the one wall and the Les Pauls and the SGs on the other. Mm-hmm. Long before they had any Ibanez guitars in there or anything. So it was really Gibsons and Les Pauls. And the acoustics were in the front side near Bill. That was, I think they started expanding beyond that, if I'm not mistaken, in 1980. Mm-hmm. I think that's when they got what they called the PA room, and they moved all the acoustics into the next thing, and then they kept expanding. And as I remember, Chateau Musical, when they finally got their hands on that place, which was beside Steve's, it was after the fire. There was a fire in the building. I know because one of my bands was rehearsing upstairs, and when the building didn't burn all the way down, but the facade fell off it, and Chateau Musical liquidated all their equipment. And then Steve's took over and rebuilt the facade of the building. And so I think it was in the 81, maybe 80, 81, 82 when they started to really kind of spread out. And pretty soon they had the whole block, So.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And I don't know when they opened the Ottawa and Toronto stores. I always had the impression that the Toronto store was the first store, but it was the Montreal store, and reading a bunch of different articles, 65.
65. It was the year I was born.
Baby.
Yeah, I'm a baby in the group.
And then Steve, he passed away in, when was that? It was around their 50th anniversary, if I remember correctly. But I'm not 100% sure. And
what year did they close the location on St. Antoine? Because that happened, and then they did a bunch of moves, and there was
2017, I believe, give or take. Okay. They were the the whole block was expropriated for
Right.
the expansion of the. I thought it was the expansion. Oh yeah, it was the expansion of the Palais de Congrès.
Yeah, but
It's
they
still
never
all
did
boarded
anything.
up. It's all
Yeah.
boarded up still.
Oh,
It is
Plywood on the windows.
future
that's tragic.
plans.
'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean,
And have you guys ever gone into the St. Catherine store?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I
I have.
I really, there was a couple of holdovers from the older staff. I liked the St. Catherine store. Parking was usually an issue, and at the old Steve's, of course, if you spent $10, you got free parking, right? So, but it was tricky because a set of strings was only $4.50 back then. So, you had to buy, you had to save up your Gazette money to buy 2 sets of strings and picks to get free parking.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I liked it. What I really liked about the old store, and I think what what we lack today is I consider myself really lucky to have shopped there for so long, because at a certain point I didn't have to go in and buy anything anymore. I could just go and hang out and talk
yeah.
talk to musicians and talk to sales guys. And if you caught Steve in the right mood, you could talk to him too.
Yeah.
And I think that that's sorely lacking today. There's no more hangout aspect to music stores.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit of a dinosaur like that. When I go to the Long and McQuaid, not far from your place, Dave, I have come to kind of know a couple of sales guys, but I'm a hang around guy. I like to kind of hang around and talk. And I don't think they're used to it. I think they think I'm creepy.
Well,
There's a couple of young guys at that Long and McQuaid that I find are very accommodating and very knowledgeable about the gear that's there. And what I love is they don't try to feed you anything. If they don't know an answer, they go seek it out.
Yeah.
The big difference I found, having shopped at Steve's almost exclusively, because there was nowhere else. But I went to a Long and McQuaid in Ottawa. It was the first time I'd ever been in a Long and McQuaid, and it was a very different vibe. Anyway, somebody explained it to me that Steve's, they work on commission, so they're on you like wolves. Whereas Long and McQuaid, sure, sit for an hour, play a guitar, talk with them and try this, try. It was just a much more relaxed atmosphere. But that was why.
Thing about Long and McQuaid, the first Long and McQuaid I went to was in Toronto, and it was it had to be 25 years ago. And when I went in, it had been the first impression I got was it was industrial. This was
corporate.
A corporate. I'm sorry, that's a much better word.
Yeah.
It was you walked in, it was neat, it was well organized, and it was corporate. And I remember saying, this is the future, and this is going to be trouble for places like Steve's.
Mhm.
Even Ital Melody was the same kind of vibe as Steve's, a little less colloquial. I mean, Steve's was really it was just like this old place, like an old pirate ship without water.
Well, the building was part of the soul of that store too. The building that it was in.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, you go into the Long and McQuaid's, and because they're so corporate, every store looks like the other one. They're just all in different towns. But Steve's was a unique place. The building was part of the experience. The old crickety floors, and oh my God, if you've ever been in the warehouse upstairs, it's like,
see that?
That's the lock from the gate.
That's one of the locks from one of the gates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the other part of the experience of going down to Steve's was making your way past the patrons of the old brewery mission, which I remember bringing my mom one year. God bless her soul. She knew nothing about guitars or anything, but she wanted to get me something for my guitars. It was at the point where both my parents were finally accepting that this was an important part of my life. Anyway, she wanted to buy me a case for my Strat, and so I took her down to Steve's, and it was a bit of a culture shock for her. I think we parked on the street, but still, I mean, the old brewery they were harmless. They weren't
Oh, we
belligerent or
never had
anything like
trouble.
that.
Never had
But it
trouble.
was a bit of a culture shock coming from the West Island. We never saw stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun. I mean, in the end, I shopped at Steve's for 51 years.
Wow.
Wow.
That's how long I've been shopping at Steve's,
Yeah.
and now, of course, they've closed their last doors. And I remember so many staff members, and I recall when I first started shopping there was a guy named Joe Mosta. He's a little short guy behind the counter in the original far right section.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he said to me, and look, I was 13, maybe almost 14 at the time. And we didn't have a car. I had to go down with my music teacher, and I remember I couldn't decide what picks to use. Like I didn't know anything, right? And he says, "Hey, listen, kid." And he wasn't a very tall guy. And he says, "Listen to me, kid. If you're going to buy, buy. If you're not going to buy, buy."
That's fantastic.
And I grew, with time, I grew to really love these guys. And I remember Sheldon's first day, Dave's first day as salesman. I mean, we were all so young, and it got to the point where years and years later, these people were excited as my career developed. I'd walk in the door and they weren't interested so much in showing me gear anymore. They wanted to know what I was doing. I had a real relationship with them. And, even, there was a couple of guitars that I really wanted to own there. And they were too expensive or something. And I remember Donnie Banks. You guys remember Donnie?
Yeah.
He's a great big round guy. He was the head buyer. And Donnie wasn't very tall. And I recall I was in the Les Paul Strat room just beside the strings. And I had my back turned and I was looking at Telecasters. And when Donnie would take a guitar down, because he wasn't tall enough to grab the guitar like this and lift it out of the claw, he would tip it with his finger and catch it on the way down.
Oh, Jesus.
And I remember he did it one day and you could clearly hear the guitar hit the floor. Like it landed on the end pin and drove the end pin into the guitar. Like it was damaged, the binding and everything. And Steve heard this. I don't know if he was upstairs in the office or he was already down on the main floor. He came in and he was just railing mad. And Donnie Banks is holding the guitar. And I turned around and I looked at it, and Steve kind of looked at me, and I'd come to know him a little bit after all these years. And I said, Jesus, what are you going to do with that guitar? And Steve said, I don't know. Is it reparable? He's looking at it. Bill is looking at it and everything. And I said, look, I'll tell you what, I'm sure you'd be able to sell it. I'd make you an offer on it, but I'm sure somebody's going to come along any minute and buy it. And Steve looks at me with these fury on his face. He said, how much? I said, I'll give you $500 for it. And at the time, a Les Paul was probably about 800, maybe $900, maybe even more, maybe 9.5. And he looks at me and he holds his hand out and he says, Ash K in my hand right now. Don't come back with it. That's all he said. Ash K in my hands. Don't bring it back. Out I went with the Les Paul. Back then you could do that. They just, yeah.
Yeah, well, as you were mentioning about just the comfort level there, and certainly I connected really a lot with Sheldon, because I mean, he knew I'm just a kid. I'm not going to buy $10,000 worth of gear from him, but I think he knew he's looking at this kid is going to grow up, and if he. If he's a real player, he's going to keep coming back and buying stuff here. So, and then Tom, I think you might have been there that day. Sheldon let us take the double neck down off the wall of fame at the back, at the back there, and we were like, oh,
oh man, cool.
I couldn't believe he let us, because I mean, I don't know how much that guitar was worth, but a lot more than I was, that's for certain.
I just remember walking by I think you mentioned the store that was further along, and in the window for eternity, there was a double neck, like Jimmy Page's design, but it was a Mansfield, and it was there forever.
Oh, I remember
walking by, and my friend Jim would say, it's a piece of shit. You got to try the real thing. and so I'd always look at it there. And that day when we got to try it, it was kind of cool. But
Also, sitting in the sun for the past 20 years isn't a great thing for the guitar.
Baking all day.
yes,
It was relic before relicking was cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to share a picture with you guys here for a second.
Sure.
Screen 2, that's it. Oh, just do this. Share. Are you guys seeing this?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I did a bit of a deep dive this afternoon trying to scrounge up some photos of the old Steves, and it's slim pickings. But I found these. I can't remember this guy's name, but I do remember him.
Renee.
What was that?
Renee.
I believe it's Renee.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the, towards the end, the...
Yes.
Before they moved. But just, the floor. Look at the floor.
Yeah. Well, that's...
I love it. I love it.
That's the original expansion room. Originally, they had the one room off to the left of the screen. That's where I first shopped at Steve's. This was the first room they expanded into, where they had the Strats and the Tellys and the Pauls and everything.
Yeah.
And at that time, I mean, look, they had everything in one room. Electric guitars, amps, everything, basses.
Yeah, and
Yeah, Nate.
no humidity at all. I don't think they understood the concept of keeping guitars humidified. It only occurred to me in later years when I went into other stores, and especially for acoustics, they had an isolated room with a humidifier in it. And I just think of all these guitars in this picture. It's kind of crazy. I'm surprised they just, the frets weren't sticking out the sides of the neck. But yeah, that was a great room. It was always pick a guitar up and sit on an amplifier, and maybe you could plug in and try your latest guitar solo.
It was just great being able to try, all the possibilities in one.
There you go.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I worked in the rental department from 1992 to 1998.
Yeah.
Where I bought your amp.
That's right. I bought one of the first generation PV Delta Blues, and then stupidly sold it to Jeej in liquidation, and that's the first time I met Jeff. 30 something years ago. Said, "Hey, this is Jeff Smallwood. He's a real guitar player." Yeah.
Nice.
But it was such a family. You're right, Jeff. It was a place to hang out, it was a place to talk. And even years after I worked there, I would go even to the South Shore or to the West Island, and I would never ask anybody for a special price, and they didn't always like to give deals on things, but the boys always took care of me. You were always once a Steve's guy, always a Steve's guy.
Yeah.
Part of the family. It was really amazing.
From your first Steve's t-shirt.
I was gonna say, does anybody still have a Steve's t-shirt?
I do. I have one that I've never worn. And because once you wore them, the logo would turn sideways.
And the neck would get all crooked.
But it was the best. It was the best slogan. If we don't have it, you don't need it. I mean, it's perfect.
And it was true at the time. It was true back then. Yeah.
And it was you would never know who was going to walk through that door. Yeah, there was a lot of kids like us, and later on in my career, I guess I was one of the famous guys going in there, but you would be in there, and it would not be unheard of to have Phil Collins walk in the door.
Yep.
And you dreamed of being there when it would happen,
Yeah,
I met Billy Gibbons. I met Billy Gibbons. I met Alan Holsworth, Lana Miles, all just coming in shopping.
Yeah.
It's the place.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. I've heard lots of stories about the guys, Mike and Sheldon getting phone calls in the middle of the night from somebody at a gig somewhere who's desperately needed something, and they'd go and open the store for him and help them out.
You know what Sheldon did for me one time? I had a session down on St. Paul, which is not old St. Paul, which is not far from the old Steve's music store. And about 2/3 of the way downtown, I live out in St. Anne de Bellevue, And about 2/3 of the way downtown, I realized I had forgotten my acoustic guitar in the driveway.
Oh,
So, and this, I didn't know what to do, so I went straight to Steve's, and I figured, well, I don't know what I figured. I just went in the door and I told Sheldon this, and Sheldon says to me, he says, well, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know, Shelly. He says, look, go pick one, put it in a case, bring it back. Don't scratch it. You scratch it, you buy it. I said, okay. He loaned me a
wow.
$2,500 Martin
Wow.
right there.
Wow.
And like no bill, no nothing, just take it. And I
Yeah.
came back at 5:00, or I think it was a Friday. So I think I came back around 7, handed it back. And I said, Shelly, man, you saved the day. But that's how they operated. I mean, it was just, you were a part, like you said, once a Steve's guy, always a Steve's guy.
It was a family. It really was a family.
Yeah.
Hey, Marty.
Hey, Marty.
You're muted, by the way. Yeah. And I can't read lips, so. Yeah, if you click your microphone in the lower corner, it should turn on for you. Yeah, so we're going to get a drummer's perspective on the drum thing.
Yeah, the drum shop was a special place too. Lenny was he was the real deal, man.
And really well stocked. The drum shop was really well stocked.
That's because he told everybody hands off. I run this place. I know what I'm getting. He was the guy who would say, we're buying this, we're buying that.
Yeah.
He really ran that place. He knew what he was doing.
He was kind of scary too if you didn't know him.
It's true, quite intimidating.
Intimidating, scary, or like
just not like horror movie scary, like intimidating,
Yeah. He had this air of quiet.
Puts you on edge right away.
What's that?
Yeah, which is the complete opposite of Sheldon, right? I mean, he's got that charming ability to sort of befriend just about anybody, make you feel comfortable.
Sheldon was universally loved. I've never heard anybody say anything negative about him. Even at his funeral, I have not been able to shed a tear over his death because he made me feel so good all those years that every time I think of him, I smile. Like there's no room for tears, No. And he was so universally loved, and I can't say enough good about him.
Jeff, and to Dave's earlier point, Dave made that point of, he knew all these youngsters coming in and playing Stairway to Heaven again and again and again, or Smoke on the Water.
Smoke on the Water, yeah,
or whatever it was, whatever you could get your fingers around. But he knew he's just planting seeds, but he never felt like that was what was going on. It was just genuinely, and it just continued. When the seeds were planted, you came back, you did your business, and the relationship grew. From there. It's lovely. And the other thing I thought was super cool about Steve's, you guys were kind of shedding on it, is the vibe when you walked into the old Steve's. It was genuinely like, I mean, I can only put, there was a candy shop I used to go to in New Brunswick when I was a little kid in the summer. It was called Aiton's, and you'd go in and it had that vibe, worn out floor, all this stuff, everything it felt like it was in its natural environment, it just, and a person there that just made you feel warm,
And it had a smell. Remember the old Steve's? It had a certain smell to it. Yeah.
That was the mold.
It is a kind of mold. It is.
Yeah. But it was a good mold. It didn't kill you. It made you stronger.
It molded us. Put it that way.
Molded.
The poet in me.
But I think one of the things that we're going to miss most about Steve's too is because it really was, no matter how big it got, how many stores there were, it was a family business at the core. Mm-hmm. It was never trying to be Long and McQuade, or it was never trying to be like the Guitar Center. It was still a family business. It was Bill Kerman being the buyer, and Michael was there, and the whole family worked there. It was and of course the extended family of all the other employees too.
Right.
Yeah.
What was your first instrument that you bought at Steve's?
Mine was that Telecaster.
Right.
Okay.
75 Tele, standard butterscotch.
That's the one you just gave to your son.
That's the one I just gave to my son. Yeah.
Outstanding. Dwayne, what about you?
I bought a lot of gadgets at Steve's. I was like a pedal guy and an amp, stuff like that. I got a lot of recording equipment afterwards from George when George opened up. I forget what's his family name? George.
I don't remember, but I
Yeah, but
remember
you know
him.
who I'm talking about, right? I bought, my monitors there. I bought my Fireface sound cards there. I bought a ton of recording equipment and stuff. But my dad was kind of a guitar collector, so if he had a telephone back in the 70s and 80s, if he had a telephone and the Gazette, he'd find used guitars everywhere. So I just had a plethora of 60s, 70s. Gibsons, Fenders, and of course I didn't know what we had back then, right? Because it was like 1978, and like 1950s guitar was only 20 years old. It was like nothing.
It was just a secondhand guitar.
Just a second, and I think one of them we bought from Miles Goodwin too. We bought one of his Les Pauls too. So I didn't have to buy many guitars because my dad was just amazing at procuring these used guitars, which God, I wish I had half of them now,
Yeah, really. But would you sell them?
Oh, no, not now. Not now. I mean, that's an investment. If you have Gibsons and Fenders that are in decent condition and they're vintage, that's as good as gold on the open market,
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere is going to buy it.
Yeah.
Tom, I know what your first instrument was at Steve's.
I bought Black Telly. The Black Telly, and do you remember? I sold it to Mark Kennedy. He bought my Black Telly.
I thought your
You know
Les
Mark
Paul
Kennedy?
was your.
Yeah. Anyway, I sold it to him, and I bought my Les Paul.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought your Les Paul was your first, and you regret it ever since.
Well, I definitely would love to. Well, you know what? When I really started regretting it, when you loaned me your telly, that's when I really started regretting it. I really love the sound of telly, and I love playing it. It just feels great with a nice, crisp, clear sound. And
It is. It's a fun guitar to play,
yeah.
and I'm amazed at how many hard rock guitar players use tellies throughout their career. Like, recently getting into Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, and he started out back in the Rage days with a telly, and it's like, yeah, you always, like, I don't know, in the 70s, if you wanted that sound, you needed a double coil or a humbuckers or whatever, like a telly or a Strat just was relegated to the chinky chink sound.
Yeah.
But they're great guitars.
The old tellies had this amazing piano tone. So for playing riffs, they were fantastic, and if you wanted to strum a nice jangly thing, they were fantastic. Yeah, super versatile.
I'm just curious what Marty's first guitar was.
Marty was too smart to buy guitars. He stayed away from them.
What was the first thing you bought, Marty?
Are you guys actually seeing me?
Yeah.
And we can hear you.
Because you guys didn't react when I connected.
Yeah, we did.
We all did. We waved. We said hello, and you had your mic off.
I didn't see that. I didn't. I thought I was not even connected.
Well, here, hi, Marty.
Hi. Okay.
Here's some.
No, at first you were muted. That's all.
I'm just listening.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so we're doing the round on when did you first go to Steve's?
I actually was in 1982 for my birthday. I bought my first drum set. It was at Jack's next door.
Okay.
But I bought the cymbals at Steve's, the hi-hats, the crash and the ride cymbal. It was in 1982, for my 17th birthday when I started playing drums. But I bought a bass at Steve's. I bought two basses at Steve's, and I bought a guitar at Steve's.
Cool. Like before your drums or after the drums?
Oh, that like in the 2000s.
Oh, okay.
I started to play guitar and bass, and I bought a Les Paul. What are they called? The ones with the hollow body, the Ultra.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like a Sunburst Ultra, a Les Paul, and a Fender Squier, like a bass jazz Squier.
Nice.
Cool.
Which the the Les Paul Ultra. My guitar player bought it from me. I sold the bass, and but now I have a Fender Jazz. But yeah, I bought a lot of stuff at Steve's. Yeah.
I have an old Marshall head, a 50-watt head. Not I bought it off some kid in Valois. Not unsurprising, the serial number. There was no engraved serial number. It was on a piece of plexi on the back of the amp, which somebody had conveniently snapped off. So I've never been able to fully date it. But I bought it, and there was something wrong with it. It just didn't sound right. And I brought it to a couple of places. Do you remember? You guys know Duke? I'm sure you know Duke.
Yep.
Duke Braun. And for a while, he had a guy named, I think his name was Richard, living with him there, who was kind of like his electrical engineer and repair guy. And I gave it to him for many times, and it never came back right. And so years later, I wasn't even playing at the time. I just said, oh, I'll bring it to Steve's, see if they, Anyway, the repair guy there, the amp repair guy, was a little Vietnamese guy. I only say that because they made a point.
I remember him. I remember that guy.
Me. Yeah, and anyway, I gave it to him, and when I went to pick it up, and he was like, "Do you know what you have here?" And I'm like, "Hopefully a fixed Marshall head." And he said, "No, this is a classic amp. I honestly don't remember what he told me." He says, Marshall just reissued this. But wait, anyway, in the end, and it was like I said, that I wouldn't have expected to be bringing some to Steve's to be fixed, but he told me, he said, somebody tried, because it's a two-channel. There's a bright and a normal channel on it. Somebody tried to rewire that to be a master pre-something, but there's no preamp circuits. Anyway, it just hummed. It was terrible. And he put it all back to origin, and geez, it's a great sounding amp for a 50-watt head. It just was too fucking loud to play on stage. It was just ridiculously loud. And then I got one of those power soaks, they have actually a driver in it, and it soaks up some of the energy. Anyway, all that to say is, that was one of the last times I went to Steve's, was when I got that amp fixed there. So
I bought my first amp at Steve's too. It was also a Marshall 50-watt JMP, one channel, so it's two inputs, and I could not for the life of me. Don't forget, I was 14, right, with that Telecaster. I could not for the life of me make that thing sound good at all. Oh, no. And the only way to make it sound any good was to put it on 10. Yeah. And when you're that young, you're just too dumb to make proper decisions. But the one decision I did make was that 10 was just a little too fucking loud. So I still have that amp. I eventually had it modded. And I know that the Marshall purists are going to say, what an asshole you are. But the truth of the fact is, I had it modded so that it did have a master volume, and it now was it had a preamp stage and a master volume so that you could channel switch back and forth. Wow. And it had an effects loop on the back with a volume on it. It was done by Richard Onslow, and that amp became my main amp until the Delta Blues amp that I bought. And then I started using that a lot, but it was the same idea. Fantastic old Marshall. It's a 1974 JMP, wow. And it sat in the store for a year or so till I got my hands on it and couldn't make it sound good for several years. Eventually, But when you're a kid, I bought the amp, I think, from a guy named Mark Dunn who worked. You remember Mark, Dwane?
I don't remember Mark. No, I think he was before my time.
Yeah, he was. He'd be a little older than me, so I'm 65. He'd probably be about 67, maybe 68 now. And he, tall guy, nice guy. He sold me the Marshall, and eventually sold me a bunch of stuff. But
Oh. Yeah. But Dwane, I remember you working there.
Yeah, I worked there from '92 to '98. It was around the time, and Albert Chambers was still working there before he started Bass Bin. Mm-hmm. It was Albert, and Lucien was there, and But Martin, you're the only drummer in the group. Talk to us about what it was like to hang out in the drum shop and what Lenny was like and what the boys were like, because we were always in the guitar side, right? So
Yeah.
what was
Well,
that
actually,
like?
I wanted to add also, I bought a 30-watt Marshall, a practice amp, when I bought the Les Paul.
Okay.
So I also had a Marshall. I sold that to my brother-in-law. The drum shop was really incredible. The one thing that I wanted to touch on was what everybody is complaining about, the service and the attitude. And I never went to Steve's to make friends. I never went to Steve's to whatever. I went there because of the prices, because of the selection. So to me, the attitude, it never bothered me. I remember Brian and Stefan and Lorne and yeah, for sure Lenny was the special one. But I guess it's to me, my motivation was to go for the deals and for the selection, not for the attitude. So I never had a problem with anybody at Steve's. But the drum shop was pretty amazing. I mean, I ordered 3 custom-made drum sets from Steve's, and 1999, a 2005, and a 2022 a DW. They're all custom-made, all the colors, the sizes, and the guys were great. I mean, when I bought my first drum set, a 1999 DW, I got into the store and I said, well, I'm walking out of here with the ultimate drum, like my dream drum set. So Lenny goes, well, are you, is there really I guess you know what you want, but I said, well, I'm not sure. I want to think about it. So they set up every company tom that they had in the store. They set it in front of me. They set it up in front of me. So I played every imaginable drum company tom to try them out. And it was anything from Gretsch to Ludwig to DW to Tama to Sonar. And, when I didn't like it, they would put up another one. And it must have been like 15 toms. And I just sat there playing. And I eventually went to the DW because it had the finish that I really wanted. And, they never just sit down and we'll do it. So they were extremely, extremely cooperative.
I remember sorry, go ahead.
Go.
I remember when they first started doing layaway plans. This was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Do you know that I laid away a guitar there once, and I never, like, they didn't do a credit check or anything. They just kind of, they took my $100 and then just, you nickel and dime it off. It's like, I don't know how they functioned that way, but they did, as they made it.
Did you go to the office upstairs?
Yeah. On the first floor, it's not the way up one, but the first one where they had the porthole where they could look down on the string.
The mezzanine. It's like only 4.5 feet high.
That's right. Is that what you called it? The mezzanine.
The mezzanine. That's what they called it.
That's it. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. I went up to the one upstairs in the grenier, as they called it.
Yeah.
Because for stuff, but and I've ordered so much stuff from Steve's, like custom made or some really special stuff. And also they would also often get like the first ride that Peisty made for Nico McBrain, his personal model. They got I bought the first one in North America.
Wow.
So they got it in the store. And Brian called me and he says, you got to get down here. We got something. And I saw it and I bought it. So there was a few things that when they came out, Steve's bought them. And I was the first one in North America to actually buy those products because they knew what I wanted. So they called and I would show up and do so. They were really like on the edge of like what was brand new and really, really like special. Yeah.
Yeah, and as a business, they were very focused on where the market was going. Like we were saying about Sheldon, he was investing in the future of all these young customers coming in. The store, well, they were the cutting edge. They were where you would go to
Yeah.
find all these things.
Yeah.
I think there was a music store in Fairview. You know, yeah, no, it was not a good place to shop
Fairview.
for.
Well, there was,
Archambault, wasn't it in Fairview? Wasn't
What's
there?
what was it?
Wait, I think
Archambault?
wasn't there one in Fairview a long time ago?
an
That
Archambault?
sounds familiar.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't
No?
remember that.
Okay.
No.
There was a music store that was not. I know there was like Discus Records and all that stuff, but somewhere in the
There
city,
used
Pascal's.
in
What?
Dorval, right near the Dorval Circle, there's that shopping center right on the right of Highway
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
There used to be a music store in there called Steve's Music, but it wasn't affiliated with Steve's downtown.
Okay.
Oh wow!
And I remember we on our way to the real Steve's, we stopped there first, and I was with my music teacher at the time, and I remember it's the first time I'd heard him swear, saying, "Fuck, this isn't Steve's." You know, so, it had like 8 guitars and all of them arias. You know, like
yeah.
There's no look. We thought, well, where's all the good guitars? You know, like
I'm gonna share
But if
some
you
more
re-
pictures with you
If
guys.
you really wanted to experience bad service, you went to Jack's.
Oh yeah.
Of course, yeah, that was terrible.
They were just
Those
rude.
guys were bad, awful.
Well, you only went in Jack's on a dare, like like a haunted house.
You're gonna buy strings at Jack's.
now wait a minute. I did buy that 68 Telly bass. I did buy it
yeah.
at Jack's.
They have some cool things.
What?
Yeah, just
Oh, yeah.
Oh wow.
make that.
Okay.
There we go. There's Shell.
Hey, there he is.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Nice.
This. I guess this is later on because I can see they have Ibanez's up here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, of course, it's later on. Shelley's got gray hair.
Yeah.
I always kind of figured he was destined to take over the family business because
Me
I don't
too.
think the family guys were really terribly involved
Well-
in the store.
well, I know that Steve's daughter, what was her name? Dwane? Heidi. She bought out, Steve's bought out a store on St. John's Boulevard called Music Circle.
Circle.
I
that's
remember
right.
them.
Yeah, they bought them out. Music Circle moved from the small mall where they were in the middle of St. John's up to the top near
Yes.
Dwane.
Right.
And that's Heidi. Steve's bought them out, and Heidi ran that place for a while, but I don't think she had the same kind of savvy that Steve did.
I worked there for 10 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Oh,
Marty,
wow.
you
Oh,
taught
yeah.
there, didn't you?
Oh,
I-
okay.
I slaved there for 10 years. It was awful. No, I'm sorry, but Heidi was very special.
Well, that's very diplomatic. Hey, there he is.
There he is.
Thank
So
you.
that's the
Thank you.
nice.
Oh,
Look at
wow.
that.
Yeah.
Look at the stock. There's 2 Tellys next to 2 Les Pauls, and then there's a Strat right behind it. That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
369.
You know, that stuff.
Yep, there you go.
Wow.
That's it. I paid $385 for my first Telly.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as soon as
Oh.
you put up that picture, I remember the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
I've
when
got
you
a
guys
funny
were talking about that earlier. Yeah.
story. A funny story about the building, because the building we were saying just before you logged in, Martin, that the building was like a character in the whole
Mhm.
story. And in the back of the rentals where we used to store the speakers, we had all these speakers piled up on top of one another.
Yeah. I
The
remember
wall was so old back there that I'd throw like a big JBL Eon on top of 2 more Eons, and it would kind of like rock back and hit the wall. There would be this wave of bricks because the bricks were not even connected. Like, you literally take bricks out of the wall. I don't know how that thing never came down on us. It was absolutely terrifying back there.
So the rental
Yeah.
shop was always at the back of the store, right? Like it
It used to be right in between drum shop and
That's right.
the horn section where they did the music, partition, the sheet music and horns.
Yeah.
And on the other side of us, if you were facing St. Antoine on the inside, the right-hand side was the drum shop, the left-hand side was the horn section. And we were there, and that was like really small and long. So you didn't see where we stored everything because it was in a big back room that only employees could go into, and it was for good reason because it was very unsafe. Yeah, we
well,
would
see,
never let anybody go beyond that back counter.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed when the rentals were in the back near the parking lot.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where we could go and hang out
yeah,
and sit around and
yeah,
drink sodas and shoot the shit back there. That was
yeah.
fun. That's where I bought
That's
your amp.
funny.
Right. Right.
yeah, I'd
Wow.
only ever been in the rental area, from the parking lot. That's where we'd go in. When I started doing Rib Fest, we originally used Duke sound system, and then we had to upgrade, and then Steve's provided us gear back then. It was kind of an odd back room. It was just people, as you said, Dwayne, just shelves of gear up.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like, these
Well,
things.
back then there was not even shelves. Like I'm talking about the early '90s, right? There was just like speakers piled
Stacks.
one on top of the other, stacks. So when you're putting one up and it's like over 6 feet in the air, like I'm about 6 feet tall, and I would put it over my head, and then I'd have to push it so it would actually sit on top, and then it would bounce off the wall, the bricks would wave.
You know,
Wow.
when you think of the way we did stuff back then, it's a miracle any of us are still here.
It's
You know?
true.
Yeah.
I remember some very unauthorized electrical hookups in some clubs, and one in particular, I wasn't doing it, but the guy who went to do it, like where you're putting the clamps, you're bypassing the circuit board, and you're going straight to the rails on the back of the power box, and it arced out and set fire to his leather jacket. I was like, oh my God. That could have gone so bad.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was all a time of learning and like even the gear we bought. I certainly didn't know what I was buying, and it was just you read Guitar Player magazine and you hear, oh, you got to try this thing out. And like, okay, I'll go try it out.
It was a massive learning experience for me because on Saturday when the rental closed, we could just fill up our car with whatever we wanted as long as we brought it back 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Like that's how I learned to do everything technically.
Yeah. I remember one of the last times before I had that amp repair, I was looking to buy a digital reverb pedal, a Boss digital reverb pedal. And I went down and I'm, that long glass case in the first section there.
Yeah.
And I looked in, and this must have been early 2000s, somewhere around there. And a Boss digital reverb was like $300 to $400. I'm like, fuck! Like, I'm expecting an $80 pedal, maybe $100 because it's digital. And I was like, no, I can't afford that. Like, it's like, that's for one pedal. It's just ridiculous. And that's, as a result, this led segue to another sort of opening in my perspective on how to acquire gear. eBay. I went on eBay and I found, I have two of them actually, Boss GT8 multi-effects pedal. Some young lady was selling it out in BC, $500. And it had every Boss effect pedal practically built into it, with some caveats. But yeah, that was, and that introduced me to the online market for instruments, effects, anything really. And I kind of, something else. Well, this was a little. I'll get to that a little later about where I found that the companies were price fixing everywhere. Like you went to one store, it's the same price as at that store. And anyway, that was a whole other thing. But there was an abundance of secondhand gear out there on the market that you could buy, and now you had access to it because you had eBay. I think this was before Kijiji, but eBay. And Steve's became It's slowly, it's like a Toy Story movie. There was a coming of age where I realized I don't have to go to Steve's, and online shopping. And then in later years, as I said, I found that, well, I was buying that guitar, that acoustic, and it's a Taylor, and it was the same price everywhere. And Steve's, it was beyond the days of negotiating with them. Like the list price was the list price. And Steve's never quite kept up with the online selling thing. I think that was one thing I noticed, that I'm not saying go to Amazon, but there were other well, I mean, in the States, Guitar Center, I mean, they dominate down there with just availability and access to their inventory. And just one thing, like, well, we were talking about guitar quality before too. Is so now everything I'm finding is at the same price, and you used to have to try the thing that you were gonna buy. Like, you couldn't just buy it on spec, but you can these days. You can order a Fender Telecaster online, and yeah, it may need some setup and whatever, but 99 times out of 10, it's gonna be a fine guitar, and as we were talking about the manufacturing process, and so the only way I was really like considering Steve's, because I think by this time they had opened up the one on Brunswick in Dollard there. And I went in, and it very much had that corporate look. Even though I never got down to the St. Catharines store, yeah, I know what you mean, that corporate, like, shiny lines and shelves, and, the way things were stocked and stuff. It wasn't quite as organic as the old days. Anyway, the point being is they could have done a solid business online. They were still Steve's. They still had the name. They still had the brand. But they never seemed to fully embrace the online experience for people. Like, I want to buy this pedal. Do you have it in stock? Well, they couldn't tell you online if they had it in stock. And that's not great.
I really think that was their downfall. I was just talking to a buddy of mine, and I really think that's what it was. And the pandemic was like the nail in the coffin, because everybody was buying online, and they
weren't there.
They just didn't catch up to that quick enough. I think that's.
Yeah, I mean, even till just before the announcement of the closing of the store, I went on their website, and it's just so horribly organized and incomplete in areas. Like, clearly that they weren't listing all the stock they had.
Whereas Long and McQuaid was amazing at that. Red One Music as well. Red One Music has really dominated a lot of the PA systems and
PAs. Yeah.
But I think part of the issue too is that, we mentioned earlier that it was really a family business, and I think these other entities were set up as corporations.
Yes.
Nationally at least. Mm-hmm. And the thing about Steve's is, let's not forget, for a long time there was just Montreal and Toronto. That was it. And then they opened Ottawa. Yes. So it was really still concentrated in this small area. Mm-hmm. So that if you went to Edmonton and you said, have you ever heard of Steve's? They might go, well, I think that's in Montreal, right? Like, they didn't have the presence that these other places did. And if you miss that boat, man, and you're trying to operate as a family business online, well, unless you're selling honey or something, it's not going to work. It's
exactly. And the website too was not. I agree with Dave. What he was saying. It was not fun to get on the website, and it was not interactive.
I never went on Steve's website. I long after I stopped buying gear, I just stop in to talk, like shoot the shit. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen their website.
Yeah, it's not pretty, but it was. I could kind of see the writing on the wall there, that they weren't keeping up with the Joneses, basically, and all that feel-good aspect of going in the store and the atmosphere. People weren't looking for that. Certainly, the new millennials. They were looking for something quick, easy, clean, good price. And going in Steve's really meant shuffling through a lot of stuff that was in front of you. Just as you mentioned, well, that picture I showed before of that room of just amplifiers stacked up and
Yeah.
racks of guitars. And yeah, it was a little bit overwhelming for people.
In a confined space too. Like you had to
Yeah.
like, kind of like, weave your way through the people and
So afraid to knock a
That
guitar
was
over.
part of it. I think that gave it a lot of grandness.
I agree. I agree with you.
The fact that those little, there wasn't much room to move between the amps on the left and the right, and then you got to find a spot to park your butt to shove the
Yeah.
cords on that guitar you just pulled down, and you got the guy, whoever's servicing you at the moment, whether it's Sheldon or one of the rest of the gang, you're playing and you're just trying to turn it up a little bit. You're trying to turn it up a little bit. The guy, hey.
Yeah, before you get the stink eye from somebody, right?
Yes, the stink eye, exactly. And it's that whole magic of that. I think of like Steve's is part of the whole initiation of the excitement of becoming a musician and learning the craft and the whole everything about it. That was just massive. And that was the only place to go to touch it, to any of it, and it was magical.
And heaven forbid that you're sitting there trying a guitar and then a guy comes in and sits down and he just plays circles around you, and just all of a sudden your guitar goes back on the wall. You're back out of the room.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was a given for me. Although, which of you guys would rehearse a guitar part so that when you demoed a guitar in the shop, I had this, I just learned, I've been playing this thing, but that's it. That's all I could play.
I can honestly say I never did that, and I never played Smoke on the Water or Stairway to Heaven. Ever. Never at Steve.
In the 2000s, it was Enter Sandman.
Oh, there you go. But by the 2000s, listen, by the 2000s, I was so freaking old already. That was too new for me,
Well, I'm a huge fan of slapping bass, right? So I can do some pretty impressive stuff. So when I bought my first bass, I went into the store and I started playing, and and this couple of guys came up to me and says, "Man, we need a bass player for our band. Would you be interested?" I said, "Guys, that's all I can play. I can't play anything else." Those 3 licks you're hearing, that's all I can play.
There's the ultimate guy who practiced just to try the bass.
1-4-5, sorry, no. I can play Primus and I can play Stanley Clarke stuff, but those 3 licks, that's it, man. Oh man. Oh, we were so hoping, it's now, sorry.
So I remember my dad begging me to stop playing the Mission Impossible theme on the piano.
Oh man!
For God's sakes, Tommy!
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah, I bought my first bass there too. I guess I forgot about that. It was really more for my son, who was an up and coming musician at the time. And Fender was selling this kit. It was a Squier P bass and a little 25. It's in the garage now, but little 25-watt Fender bass amp strap and a cord, and I think I paid $425 for it.
They had them in a box, right?
Yes.
I remember that right in the middle of the store.
Exactly. Yeah.
I remember that.
I still play it. It's on the wall over there. And
the bass and amp came in the same box.
And it's I said, it's not a bad, if you know how to set up an instrument, it's fine. And I've had guests over playing bass, like Glenn. He tried it. He thought it was a fine bass. Just nothing special, but certainly for that price, who can complain about that? But I don't even know if you can get those deals. Even Squiers are now cost a goddamn fortune. It's Well, yeah,
But the Squire Classic Vibes are selling used practically for the same price you can buy them new.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
good guitar though. Classic Vibe's a good
They
guitar.
are. They're great.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I wonder if Steve's is going to have liquidation sales now.
I think I heard Aaron Rand talking to somebody from Steve's about that today, and I think they've gone through one cycle already, and then there's one final sale to go.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm sure it's already done. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not good at those things. I always show up late, and it's like, open packages of strings and guitar cables that have missing one end and all that crap. Yeah, I think I would imagine the insiders like Jeff get calls. Hey, come on down. We're gonna sell off all our Marshalls for $50.
I did get a call like that. I didn't go down. I have a little bit of I don't want to feel like a vulture circling a carcass, when it's coming down. I did stop in to say goodbye to some guys, but if I didn't need the gear 6 months ago, I don't need it now. You know what I mean? I'd rather just go and say goodbye.
Yeah.
And take one last look at the place. I know that when they closed the West Island, I used to go drive by there and hang out when Jill was the manager, and then Jason became the manager there, and I just stop in to say hey, and I'd stand 15 minutes and talk. And when they were closing, Keith Ford told me they were going to close, so I popped in to say goodbye. It was sad, man. It was like it looked like some kind of Rubby's mouth. It was just missing teeth everywhere. Guitars spread way out, and I thought, oh man, this is terrible. I don't want to see this. It's like you're watching an era disappear.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's one thing. Last year they had the Peisty Day at Steve's, and they were all like prototypes that Peisty sent to the store, and the Peisty Day was on Saturday, and I got a call from Lenny. He says, "Come on Friday, we'll set up all the rides for you before everybody else." So when I got there, they had like 20 of them. And I saw the one that I bought, just bought the hammering. I said, that's the one I'm going to buy. So they set up a couple of stands, and we went through all the rides, all 40 of them. And we left the last one, the one that I said, well, that's, so I played that one. I just hit it once, and I bought it. So they called me a day before to be ahead, so that I would be able to buy the one that I really wanted.
That's
the
great.
one that was there, because they were all prototypes, and they sold all of them, and it's probably the most incredible ride I've ever heard in my life. But just to make sure that I had the one I wanted, they opened the store like a day before so I could try them out.
Nice.
So they've done a lot of stuff for me. As it was also, there was oh man, it was I was watching a documentary with my wife, and how they make these drums. They're made of almond, and she said, that's the most beautiful snare I've ever seen in my life. Maybe you should buy it. I said,
I don't definitely married the right woman.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
those are words I've never heard.
Yeah. Well, I said, okay. So I called Steve's, and Lenny said, well, we have one in stock. It's if you remember, there was the DW Day, was the kit that was downstairs. It's like, oh my, okay. So I went there. It was a ridiculous, it was a $10,000 drum set. And so I go there, and I said, well, so Lenny said, we'll sell you only the snare. If you want the snare, we'll sell it to you. Whoever buys the kit, which was sold incredible, like 3 weeks later, somebody bought it. They said, they'll either have the snare done or whatever, but they sold me the snare separately from the drum set.
Would they put a Tama Swing Star or something in there
to
fill the hole?
Sure.
Oh, Westbury, a Westbury.
Yeah,
only the best.
So they ont dépareillé le drum du snare. They took the snare off the drum set and sold it to me, just for whatever. Because Lenny was great, and when they received those, they had these ride cymbals that were the original masters from the 1950s, Lenny called me first. He says, "Dude, we have that in the store. What do you want?" He says, "Well, $3,000. I don't think so, but I got the first call. I would get first calls from a lot of different things, like collector's items or whatever." And so yeah, Lenny was always really, really nice. Lauren also was. It was fantastic. But
well, so you said earlier that you didn't go to Steve's for the camaraderie and the friendship. Well, it sure sounds like you had some camaraderie and friendship there.
But you had to approach them the right way.
Yeah,
I think, and also, I mean, if you were a good customer since 1982, they would respect you, you know. But I just think they didn't have time for people coming in and said, "Oh, I don't know," and it's kind of expensive, you know. It's like people wanted to deal stuff. I don't think they had the patience for that, but you know, it was great. It was the whole staff was fantastic. And I mean, I miss Stefan and Brian like there's no tomorrow. Those guys were absolutely incredible. Brian had the most dark, incredible sense of humor. He had everybody laughing. But
what was his last name?
Brian. Yes, yeah. And Stéphane Gaudreau was amazing. He was a great friend of mine. But I don't know. It just like I said, to me, I never had a problem with the staff, their attitude, and I never saw that. And but
I never saw that either. I know that some people experienced that. I was just, before you checked in, I was telling the guys that the only time I was ever confronted with anything remotely aggressive was that guy Joe Mosta. I was telling the other guys that you probably never met him, but when I was 13, 14, I went in there and I was hemming and hawing about what pick to buy or some shit like that. And this guy Joe Mosta, he was an older guy, little short guy, says to me, "Listen, kid, if you're gonna buy, buy. You're not gonna buy, buy."
Yeah, I remember that.
There you go. That's the only time I ever was confronted with that. Scared the shit out of me, but I still went back. You know?
Yeah.
But once you became part of the family, you were part of the family for life.
That's right.
You were in the inner circle. You knew the guys. They knew you. They'd go to the ends of the earth for you.
Was there a guy in the drum department named Rami?
Yes. I remember him.
He played for Virginia
he worked there for a
Quickstep?
few years. Yeah.
He did. His last name was HOWZ. Rami
Yeah.
HOWZ.
I mean,
That's
it. And they used to have. There's a couple of them in the store that on every payday, every second Thursday, they would wear a suit and tie to work on payday.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
They had some pictures up on the wall of that.
Yeah.
I have some more pictures of staff here. Let me bring that up. Like I said, it was really hard finding, pictures of Steve's. There's the drum store.
Yeah.
Yeah, that green stuff.
Yeah, they painted that whole block
There's
eventually.
my fucking bike.
What's that?
There's my fucking bike.
Oh man. Yeah, the parking was special. Yeah, parking at Steve's was you had to get there early.
Here's a bunch of old guys.
Well, there's Mike. Yeah, Mike, Steve, Dave, Sheldon.
Yeah.
That's there also.
That's
the wall of
fame.
Hey, look, there's Brian Greenway. Celine Dion.
Oh yeah.
I never got my picture
there, but no Jeff.
I never got my picture up there.
Oh, that's a shame.
There's a lot of bands that I played in that do have their pictures up there, but for some reason, maybe I wasn't that good of a friend. Maybe
I think it was personal, Jeff. It was personal.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think they really didn't like me at all.
I think that's the last picture I have. Yeah, that's the last one.
But I have to say, one of my fondest memories of Steve's Music Store was our Christmas party. All the guys and girls just we invaded the Holiday Inn in Chinatown, right across, just on the other side of town.
Yeah.
And Yeah, everybody was really well behaved until, until after the first, the entrees, and then it was like smoking weed in the bathroom.
Yeah.
This is like in the 90s. It was
Uh,
crazy. It was one of the most fun parties I've ever been to in my life. It was just
oh man.
completely off the hook, and
Do you remember?
everybody was so relaxed because, well, we were all worked together. It's like when this like battlefield mentality. You're close to your comrades. They're like brothers in arms. It was
Do you remember the little booth you used to pay at underneath the
yeah,
mezzanine,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
It was when I first started shopping there. Well, probably by the time I was 18 or 19. So I was able to go down. I didn't have a car, so I would either take the bus or a buddy of mine would drive us down. There was a girl there who worked in the cash area. I
Yeah.
think her name was Stephanie. I was
Yeah.
in love with this girl.
yeah. I
I,
remember.
I asked her out on a date one time, and she was so intimidating. But for this brief moment, her face got really kind and soft. She turned me down, but the kind of intimidating factor was gone. I felt terrible because I really wanted to go out with her, but somehow I knew it was never going to happen. But I tried anyway.
Power to you. You swung the bat, Jeff.
I did. I struck out, but I swung for the fence. Man.
Yeah.
And she probably had 10 guys a day asking her out.
You know what? That didn't dawn on me, but you're probably right. Yeah, and better looking than I was, that's for sure.
Oh boy, oh boy. This is kind of a weird thing that we're memorializing a store, but obviously there's a lot of threads that run through it. Like we've been saying, it was more a cultural experience than a shopping experience. It was going in.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, this thread, it's a perfect description because Dwane and I, we play on the same circuit, well, a cross section of a circuit that we play on often. But Dwane and I had never met, and we met a couple of weeks ago at a party at a friend's house. And that's when we discovered, wait a minute, our paths have crossed before at Steve's.
Yeah.
And it's so, the thread is so thick that I bought a piece of gear that belonged to him. And you can't imagine the overview of all these musicians that have passed through that door and the fibrous connection between so many of them.
Yeah.
It's I shudder to think of, if I go through all my kind of connections and gear and stories, how many, maybe 1,000 musicians I know from there. That's a hard thing to find today. And I was mentioning earlier that young people today, I don't think will ever get a chance to experience that kind of shopping experience and that kind of cultural experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like that wall of pictures of celebrities there kind of made you feel like I'm in the right place. Like, this is where they shop. This must be the place to shop.
It reminds me of Ben's. You ever go to Ben's Smoke Meat on?
Yeah.
And they have their wall of fame. Like Steve's is the Ben's of music stores.
Yeah.
They're like a 1970s muscle car. They're of a different era. It was a different.
There's something about that vibe too. When you mentioned that, it kind of struck something with me. It's a lot of certain types of establishments, like particularly I've noticed in Chicago, my travels, and in New York, that have that vibe. This is it's got a bit of a Hollywood edge to it, entertainment edge to it. It's got all that stuff, and you feel it. You really feel it when you go in there. And that Ben's had that feeling.
You know who's got that?
You're in the right place. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, you know who's got that is Rudy's in New York.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, Rudy's has that same vibe, and it smells almost the same too.
Yes.
Yeah. I know that 42nd Street used to be like that, but that's all gone now. All those stores,
It's true.
they're all gone. But Rudy's is still like that.
Yeah.
Old school kind of store.
Yeah, you can go buy $150,000 Strat.
I was in there. I was in there just before COVID hit, and we were in New York City for 2 weeks. We were playing at the out on Long Island, and I went into Rudy's. I swore I was going to just go for 1 hour, and I went for 3 hours every day for 2 weeks, and I got to play so many of these incredible guitars. Now that the name slips in, the guitarist from Mountain with the black Les Paul. What was his name?
Oh yeah,
Great big.
Montrose?
Who?
Ronnie Montrose?
Leslie
No.
West.
Leslie West.
Leslie
I'm
West.
sitting there,
Yes.
and the sales guy there says to me, he says, "Hey, Jeff, you want to try this Les Paul?" And I'm like, sure. Usually I make a Les Paul sound bad, like it's not really my cup of tea. I picked this thing up, and he said that I'm playing it, and it sounds pretty good. And I'm thinking, maybe I can, afford this. It was Leslie West's. It was $87,000, and I'm like, no, I don't think so. It was, but I mean, they had everything there, but the guitars were all stacked so close, just like Steve's, and it's funny that we should mention that, but yeah.
Have you guys ever witnessed any of that footage of Vince Gill's acoustic guitar collection in that gorgeous room he's got everything in?
Yes.
It is drawers, cabinets. It's endless acoustic guitars, and I swear everyone's tuned up and ready to go. Did you see that, Jeff?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it was like an interview. I can't remember what it was on 60 Minutes or something when he was joining the Eagles, I think. And he took a little stroll through this little thing, and I thought, money.
Yeah.
Holy mac.
And did you see the wall, the one kind of shelf he had about 7 or 8 Strats on there?
Yes.
And I think the newest one was about a 63. So it was
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Dwayne, you got a lot of guitars. Jeff, you got a lot of guitars. Do you play them all?
Dwayne, do you?
I play them all because I'm not much of a collector, but every one of my guitars has a different voice. I won't buy two of the same guitars.
Sure.
That's so it's I'm all over the map, The only thing I have 2 of that are identical are my Takamine acoustic guitars, because I play so many solo acoustic gigs, and I fell in love with it. I got 90s, early 90s pro model, attack, and I found another, and I bought it for $500. They're giving these things away, so those are the only things that I have duplicates of, but everything else is a unique voice. So yeah, I do. I make it a point to take them out on different gigs depending on what I'm doing.
Yeah, mine, I'm the same way. I had to make a hard and fast rule about 30 years ago that if the guitar doesn't pay for itself in 3 months, it's for sale.
Right.
Like I had to, because at one point I was just, guitars had become so inexpensive that I was buying them not by the dozen, but not far. And it got to a point where there's like 50, 60 of the things in every closet in the house. And my wife just said, hey, that's enough.
That's an illness.
It is. So I got rid of a bunch, and now I'm not a collector. I'm like you, Dwayne. It's not that I don't like the concept of collecting. I love the concept of playing them.
Me too.
So mine get played. Some of them a lot more than others. But there's I have this 69 ES345, plays like a dream, looks amazing. It should mean something to me, but when I pick it up, it means nothing. So that, for instance, is for sale. But again, it's a guitar that I bought secondhand for $350. So now it's I could probably finance a small car with it, but regardless, the others get played. Like every guitar that I'm looking at, they've all been played in the last 20 days.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Same
That's
here.
great. Yeah. Yeah. You don't want a guitar sitting by itself.
Well, they're like muscles. They're like muscles. They're
Yeah.
like muscles. If you sit on the couch for 6 months and don't move, see how things work out for you.
Yeah.
And they're the same,
Yeah. You got to be played.
Yeah.
Got to be played. Gentlemen, I am going to wrap up the recording portion of this. Don't have to go anywhere. We can keep chatting if you like. But I want to thank all of you for hanging in here and talking about our favorite music store and what it meant to us. Missed an opportunity by that much. I saw a guy post on Facebook this afternoon that he just wrote his own personal post on his page yesterday about Steve's closing. Anyway, he posted another one today. He said, "Oh, CBC must have seen it, and they've called me up. I'm going to do a live interview tonight." So maybe they're going to call us and ask us to do it. But this has honestly been a pleasure. And to anybody who's watching out there, thank you for listening in. Support live music and all the rest of that.
Marty, Tom, Dwane, Dave, thank you very much. It's really been a pleasure talking.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you all.
Organizing.
Nice.
Likewise, Jeff. Thank you.
It's great.
Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and for sharing your stories, your laughs, and your memories. Every one of us has our own Steve's music story, but together, you've painted a picture of what made that place so incredibly special. Steve's Music wasn't just a music store, it was where musicians gathered. It was where we learned, where we dreamed, where we spent money we probably shouldn't have, and where lifelong friendships were formed. It was part clubhouse, part classroom, part candy store, and for many of us, it became part of who we are as musicians. To everyone who worked there over the years, and to those who are no longer with us, especially our friend Sheldon Cezanne, thank you. You did far more than sell instruments. You inspired people, encouraged young musicians, and helped shape the soundtrack of countless lives. And to everyone listening, we'd love to hear your Steve stories. What was the first instrument you bought there? Who helped you? What memories come flooding back when you hear the name Steve's Music? Share your stories in the comments at HOWZ YER STOOL Facebook page, because this history belongs to all of us. To Dwane, Jeff, Martin, and Tom, thanks again, gentlemen. This has been an absolute pleasure, and I couldn't imagine a better group of people to help celebrate a place that meant so much to so many. Thanks for listening to this special edition of HOWZ YER STOOL. I'm Dave Randall. Until next time, keep making music, keep sharing your stories, keep an eye on your stool.